As Kafka said in one place or another that it's not a question that there is truth. The trouble is it has a moving, changing face.
Ah, yes.
And so there you
Right.
are with the moving, changing faces, including your own.
Right. Would you read one of your Truth is Laughter?
Oh, I'd like to.
Yeah.
This one is from. It's a truth. The truth is laughter, and it's a laughter that has a kind of edge to it. The image, and I hope it's clear as the poem is written, but in my unease about such a clarity, this is a man who stands on the corner at Burrard, at Granville in Georgia, outside the Hudson Bay store.
Mm-hmm.
He holds up a picture of the Virgin Mary and carries a rosary and never speaks. He's trying, I presume, to say something. I checked to find out something about him since he won't speak, and I was told that he had a child in trouble and had made a promise that he would do this, presumably as long as he could. Whatever, this is simply the moment of a person, in this case myself, wandering by Hudson's Bay, and there he is. The truth is laughter. Blindly visited Vancouver Street, high heels and cherry trees, he leans forward every day, brown eyes sharp with delirium, at the corner by Hudson's Bay. Around his neck the mystery and the crucifix, the mystery is tender. That's why he likes it. We go around him, sparrows, every day.
Yes.
Well, thank you for asking.
Yes, that's a sharp picture, and again, I'm impressed by not only metrical control, but the eye doesn't emerge. I mean, our friend...
he's more interesting than I am at that moment.
Right.
I mean, I haven't got any message other than I'm looking at him.
Our friend Bertolf has the challenge of reading a modern poem that in which the first person doesn't appear. Can you find 15 lines and
Well, you know, that person was very interesting. Modernism, high modernism, argued impersonality.
Yes.
This is Eliot. Now, that impersonality, that's become very suspect.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not impersonality that one is after. And I thought that my beloved friend and of course, great poet, Jack Spicer, got it right when he had a poetry workshop once. And he said, you've got to learn to use the eye before you can lose it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's a bad notion.
All right.
And so, I mean, back to those other remarks about the lyric with the eye center, I suspect that's part of the whole process of moving into poetry, that one learns to use that, and then you begin that process of finding yourself among things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But oftentimes it's forestalled in process, and the process becomes arrested.
Well, you park it in a garage.
Yes.
No, all other matters.
Well, your most recent book, Pell Mell, has a sequence of imagination continued there too, which has been one of your serial poems. Would you read one of those for us?
One of the imagination?
Yeah.
Or
well, we picked some others, didn't we? Yeah.
Well, one could do, but imagination is a long run of things. They pop in and pop out, and they say just exactly what they mean. Of course, the word is punning on imagination,
Right.
but it's image nation. This poem is not called Image Nation, and I'll only read a part of it, but it does indeed relate. I mean, I don't think it would quarrel with an image nation. It's a run of small pieces. I like pieces because I don't really know very much about wholes, you know. I mean, I know a lot about H-O-L-E-S. I don't know much about wholes with the W. So, but these are little pieces. It springs on you, and each piece is an it. The poet has no part in being, is not the priest of ontology, from whom Nerval departed at the gates, giving up privilege at the lamppost. Oh, sweet, will you tell me, packing tinned peas and Triscuits, the color of being? the huge log boat to be tipped over, the ships from China, Japan, Russia, still in the tint of the world, eddies, silver, gold, and pale iris. Lights tip their cargo cranes. The moon up before darkness with an edge missing, all near geraniums. I have tried for 35 years to redefine sweetness. It is what they called being. It is not behind you, or before you, or within you. The goodness and sweetness of Dante is his composition. The language composes the good, the sweetness, and by accident, brightness.
Yes.
Now, one thing I like about that is I'm looking out at English Bay. And those log boats and the ships, China, Japan, this is English Bay, this is Vancouver, and the tint, and it all turns geranium. Everybody's seen a geranium sky.
Right, okay.
Maybe you didn't know it was a geranium, but that's okay by me.
All right. And Dante comes through so wonderfully in that last section. Yeah.
Well, Dante's a great love of mine from childhood. When you had those editions, you know, you couldn't read Italian at that point, but you had those editions with the Dore illustrations, and you'd turn them like a picture book. Oh, they were scary. Uncanny.
Yes.
And I still like the scary and the uncanny. All those things that are just a little beyond me, you know. And Dante, in the sweetness and goodness, that really centers on the Purgatorio, that wonderful central section of the Commedia, later to be called the Divine Comedy, the Commedia in which these persons who've died there's been enough good in their lives. They have not lost the good of the intellect, to use a quote from Dante. They then, in God's grace, will be given time to relearn God's love, which I would translate as simply the love of things as they gather and attract one another in the world. But, that's in mind there.
Yes, and I think beautifully realized. That's a nice book from Coach House, too.
It's a beauty.
Yeah.
I mean, that designer, you know,
Yes.
I think that's something, I'm very proud of it. I didn't do that. Coach House carefully went to work on this. They fussed with me about the title, which was originally Randonnée.
Okay.
Now, randonnée is a French word that means, you can hear it, if you put it together, random,
All right.
and donné, given. Random and given.
Okay.
And it's used about hunts, where you have rules and those things which interrupt the rules, and the given circumstances can be stretched as you see them. Well, that they felt wouldn't quite work on the bookshelves, and so we went, and it went on until one day I was reading some splendid stuff in French, and there was the word, because randonnée, you see, you can't translate. You can say random and you can say given, but you can't quite translate it as one thing. There turned up the word pell-mell.
All right.
I looked at it. Knowing what it meant there, I also knew that in English it stood strong and it translated just what I wanted. Not only the speed of, but the chance of. Pell-mell. I haven't got very long to talk, but I'm going to do it, mistakes and all.
Right, okay. And with the power.
And so they put it together. There's a run of copies with orange end papers that simply make it even more extravagantly a pleasure. But yes, Coach House did a lovely job for me.